Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, I'll be doing a tech tree showcase of the 4005. We'll be starting off with the Charioteer, moving on to the Conway, finishing off with the big boy himself. The 4005 is an insanely dangerous tier 10, able to deal 1640 damage in just 5 seconds when shell reload boost is activated, making it by far the most dangerous tank in the game. Not only that, but it has 3,400 damage per minute, good mobility, 10 degrees of gun depression, spall liner, so even if you do get HE'd, you're not gonna take much damage. The 4005 really is quite the vehicle, but it's also limited by its capabilities due to the fact it's a giant barn with no armor. So you can't frontline in it. I mean, you might, but it's probably not going to go all too well, especially when you pair that with the measly 10 kilometers per hour in reverse it does have. It used to actually feature reticle calibration, but we can imagine how an autoloader that does 1600 damage with near perfect accuracy was probably not the best decision coming from Wargaming, but at the end of the day, it is Wargaming, and they don't always make the best decisions. So, the Charioteer, what is there to talk about when it comes to this tank? Well, it's a tank destroyer, so let's start off with the gun. 350 damage per shot. It's basically an FV4202 gun on a tier 8. In fact, it used to be the exact stats of a 4202 gun on a tier 8. You can imagine how that was just a little bit overpowered. Wargaming since then has nerfed the gun massively on the damage per minute, going from what was 3,000 base to 2,500. To be fair, that's still good damage per minute. Loading the Hesh, which has 175 mils of pen, you deal 440 damage a shot, which is 90 more than the standard. And that obviously means you can get some pretty good bleeds out. And up against us, we have an Astron Rex, and we have an M41D. And we aren't too worried about that, because I'm going to move right on here. Is the M41D going to YOLO out? Well, we're going to find out. This tank has premium Hesh and standard Hesh, by the way, but it's kind of stupid because the standard Hesh does the same damage as the premium, so there's literally no reason to fire the standard HE. Alright, well, we have the Chisei, and there you go. A nice 440 damage shell straight into his tank. Now, we do get detected, which is a little annoying. I didn't think we actually would, but I guess the camo values after shot are not incredibly good on this tank. We have the Astron, which we get a 530 shell into the lower plate of. Just like that, with just 2 simple shots, we are already at 900 damage. Well, we reload again, and we should be unspotted at this point. However, we're not able to hit the Astron, so instead we're aiming on the Chisei, and fire. Yeah, while the dispersion on this tank is not anything bad, it's definitely not anything good either. Let's aim it on the ISU. There you go. That made up for it. 480 damage into his tank, bringing him down half of his overall health. Yeah, the high explosive output that this vehicle features is really scary. And if you know what you're doing, you can make this one of the scariest tanks in Tier 8. So we got the K2, and we're going to flank right behind this K2 if we can. 53 TP is going to shoot him once. We're going to load in okay, and he shoots me. I can't fully blame him for shooting me because obviously I am a lighter armored tank. I just can't believe we bounced the K2. That's the thing I don't understand. But it doesn't matter too much as our team gets the clear. We have the BZ-66. Oh, the ISU is still back there. Not sure why the ISU is deciding to continue to fight that, but we are going to ignore that and aim it on the enemy Skoda, which we evidently can't pen. And the Skoda cuts right through our armor. This tank does not have armor. That's really the best way to describe it. It does have, you know, some Sorry, just had a slight deviation in my brain there. Alright, let's aim it on the ISU, and this time we'll get a pen. What I will say about the Charioteer is it is a really good tank, but I don't love it, because the gun kind of sucks on its accuracy, and like, yeah, it does hit hard, we can see that here. That's a 409 little juicer into the enemy BZ. But you also noticed where, like, the gun misses some pretty easy shots, which, in my opinion, it shouldn't be, and I think that's a little goofy. Let's see if that BZ's still over here. Well, he's running away. Okay. Well, we are going to move right on in, and it doesn't really matter if I lose any health anyway from jumping off that. Or a one-shot for the enemy, as it is. So we are going to push right over to the enemy BZ-166. We're going to see if we can get a nice chunk in. We can see with Speed Boost, we actually accelerate pretty quick, and we get a nice 450 damage shell into this player. Oh, we're gonna die. He decided to shoot me instead of the Progetto. I don't know why. I guess he just didn't like the way I looked. But it's not going to make a difference, as the BZ is going to die with the Progetto aiming in on his side. So, as we can see, from the first game we played, the Charioteer has some great strengths and some big weaknesses. Armor, non-existent whatsoever. But the gun is quite scary, with the 175 pennant features, the good standard penetration, and okay DPM. You usually make a pretty good chunk off of the enemy if you know what you're doing. The only thing I don't like about the Charioteer is that its gun is not the most accurate. Even with refined gun, it's .274, which sounds good, but it's not great. I wish that it was a bit more accurate. Overall, I'd give the Charioteer a solid 8 out of 10. I still do pretty well in it. On my statistics, I'm sitting at 67%, which is pretty good, especially for how old the tank is. Now we arrive to the Conway. This is one of my favorite tier 9s, actually. Conway has a lot of great things going for it. Crazy good standard pen, Hesh penetration, 2,800 damage per minute, solid dispersion, but not really. That's with refined. Yeah, think about how bad the base dispersion is on this vehicle. 0.308. But with refined gun, you are fairly accurate, meaning that you are able to hit your opponents at decent distances. But the nice thing about the Charioteer versus the Conway is that while the Charioteer may have more mobility, Conway has more armor. It's not great armor, but it's good enough that you will get bounces, especially with the way the gun mantlet's designed. You're going to notice that the gun mantlet's super high up, right at the top of the turret. And what that means is that when you're poking a ridgeline, it's just your mantlet that people see most of the time, which is actually pretty good, because it allows you to get away with some pretty fun plays. Conway, just like the Charioteer, has 10 degrees of gun depression, and it features decent mobility. It's based off of a Centurion hull, where the Charioteer is based more off the Cromwell/Comet hull. So basically, each tank is based off of some sort of British medium. Even the 4005 is a British medium. Centurion hull, you'll notice when driving it. It's not a Cent 7-1 hull, because the Cent actually has like 190 mils of upper plate armor, but it is a Centurion hull. That's what I'll say. So, we're in a pretty good matchup, and I don't know which way I want to go. We have a no camo Progetto, a no camo... Oh, that's the same SMV from our last game. Well, we're going to head over to the heavy side. Ah, the classic camping E75. Why is it always Germans that camp? It's never any other nation. It's always the German nation. The players, I guess, that grind the German tanks really just want to sit and spawn. As I've said in the past, if you want to camp, it's understandable, but why did you grind a heavy then? Like, that's what I don't get. Like, I don't have a problem if you want to sit and spawn. I just don't get why you want to sit and spawn in a heavy tank, especially one that weighs 100 tons. It just, like, my brain doesn't understand that part. That's the part that confuses me. But, oh well. We get a nice 600 damage shot into the enemy, 704, and that's a good start to this battle. We have the Semovente, and I'm a little worried about that 704, but what I'm more focused on is the VK, which we are going to not be able to pen with a HE just yet, and he's actually more worried about me, really. Yeah, well, that's the .308 dispersion for you there. It's pretty bad. Like, the accuracy of this tank is not very good. Alright, let's aim it on that VK once again. This time, we are able to get a penetrating shell, and not only that, but a penetrating high explosive shell, whipping out a whopping 700 damage off of his tank, which is pretty good when you actually think about it. Well, ooh, we got the 50 TP on the flank, and just trying to think how I want to deal with this situation. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fight the enemy Skoda. I mean, we have the HP to do it, and not only that, but while we are a tank destroyer, and that is a heavy, we feature a lot more damage output than that heavy. And not only that, but we overmatch its roof. By the way, 600 damage per shot, we roll 400. Oh, great, we got tanks behind us, too. Ooh, that's very fun. We love this game. I got shots from that tank, and, well, this is definitely a loss. I can tell you that quite confidently. Wow. I don't even know what to say, actually. I'm a little speechless with this team that I've been given here. Well, we get a nice shell into the VK, but at the end of the day, the Skoda is going to kill me. I did 3,200 damage, and you can see where the Conway feels really good. The gun on the vehicle is honestly great. Like, yeah, its accuracy isn't the best, but it's basically a waffle with much better armor, and it has really good gun depression over the front, which the waffle doesn't. So there's a lot of trades you're going to be making with the tank. The good is, obviously, that you have solid DPM at 2,800. You've got really good pen. You got a lot of strengths, but, you know, the weakness is that you have Waldo in his E75, and unfortunately, he probably did just about jack squat that game. What I find even more impressive is when they camp in a super heavy and then get surprised when they deal 0 damage. We did 3,186, which is going to place us easily top on that team. Yeah. Wow, what a surprise. I'm so surprised. Yep, 53,000 games. What a shocker. I have no words. I have no words. That player has really disappointed me. Well, the good news is now we're playing in Tier 10. And there's no up-tiering in Tier 10, so we will be the king of the battles. And, at least in a tank destroyer, we do have the right to camp. Now, the 4005 has a lot of crazy capabilities. First of all, it has 3,400 DPM, which is a lot better than it should be, to be honest. I find it crazy this tank gets 3,400 damage per minute. It has 290 mils of standard pen, 370 on the APCR, basically enough to butter through anything in front of you. The tank also features 40 kilometers per hour top speed with a power to weight ratio of 20. I don't even run improved fuel on the tank. It's that fast. I don't see a reason to run improved fuel when you literally are able to chill at speeds similar to mediums. I mean, the reverse speed's absolutely awful. 10 is terrible, but it's understandable. If you're in a tank that is able to deal a whopping 1,640 damage, if you play like an ape and you play over-aggressive, you better be punished. That's what I'm going to say. So I agree that the tank should reverse at 10. It originally reversed at, I think, 14, 15, then it was nerfed a bit to 12, and then it was nerfed again. 15 reverse is way too fast, especially because you have to remember the vehicle also still features super speed boost. So technically you can reverse at 18 if you know what you're doing still. What do we have up against us this game? Well, this is not a good map. In fact, this is probably one of the worst maps to play a 4005 on, because there's just no tank destroyer spots. Like, seriously, where are you supposed to drive a tank destroyer? Yes, I know that there are spots that you can drive TDs on this map, but the spots that you can are pretty useless, to be entirely real. So let's see what we can do. We're going to activate our speed boost. Up against us we have a Rhino, and a 113 and a Chieftain. Okay, well, we do have Spaliner, so nothing that fires HE is too much of a worry to me. Apart from that, not much else I need to worry about. See, the problem is I would ideally sit in a bush like this one over here, but if the enemy team decides to go over towards base A, well, actually, it's technically this way, puts me in a real awkward spot. So I have to stick with my team. I'm forced to. And that's not a bad thing. It's just not a good thing that, you know, everything else. So the Rhino already gets bled quite heavily. We have the Chieftain, we have the Grill. I wonder if we can actually just shoot that Grill, because realistically, I'm tall enough to just look right over this. Actually, wait a sec. Wait a gosh darn second. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the 4005. But don't worry, I have a TVP on my rear, and I can't do anything about that. Wow. Well, you can start to see the problem with being such a large tank. And it's called, you're a large tank. I don't like this at all. I'm going to try and leave. That Rhino might hit me, but I don't have a choice. I'm just too large. All of my tanks, which were supporting me, decided to run off like little wimps for no reason. So that puts me in the problem situation. Alright, well, we have the TVP over here. And what are we going to do? Well, am I spotted? No? Okay, good. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use my speed boost. And with speed boost, we're quick. I mean, I'm very quick. And that TVP is most likely on reload right now. So my hope is that I can catch this TVP off guard and get an absolute dunking into his tank. There's 417. There's another 400. And see ya, buddy boy. Oh, the Rhino thinks he's going to shoot me? See ya. Yeah. I can't believe that Rhino went out of his way across the entire map just to try and focus me. But, as we can see, the 4005 does not give craps. It really doesn't. The level of damage output that this tank has is really wild. Now, we can see the enemy 4005. An interesting position. Well, the major tank I want to shoot right now is that grill. I'm going to push that grill. And, well, let's just pray that the Patton doesn't spot me. Because if he does... Oh, I don't want to be spotted by that Patton, bruh. Alright, well... Okay, the grill... Bruh. That Patton's really annoying me. And I'm spotted. Of course, bro! Of course I got spotted. That really, really gets me mad. That really, really, really gets me mad. Because... Come on, low roll it. No, of course he does. Well, we still get 835 damage out. I can't believe that Patton spotted me. That Patton really got me mad because if he didn't spot me, or if he had just backed up further, we would have been able to push that grill. And I was waiting for the Patton to back up so I could push the grill once he shot and clip him and kill him. But because the Patton refused to back up until for some reason I got spotted, it put me in the situation where I just couldn't do anything because once I got spotted, that grill saw me. Oh well. We did 3,600 damage, which is still a good result, and I really can't get all too mad. In the first clip of the game, we obliterated that chieftain, taking 1,352 off, and then put another shell into the rhino, so dealing 1,700 damage. We then did 1,000 damage to the TVP, and even with that grill killing me, we were still able to take 800 health off of him. Like, even in the situation where we still died, we did a lot of damage, and it shows, just very briefly, where the 4005 is kind of a beast. The problem is, with that awful reverse speed and the fact that our team didn't really take initiative there, it put me in a real awkward spot because I couldn't back out without bleeding health. But we won. We did our job as a tank destroyer. And, well, let's do one more game in the 4005, and then we'll call it a day for the video. We are now on a map that has 2 mediums, 2 heavies, and 3 tank destroyers. We are going to activate our speed boost and head right over towards the campy spot. Really, Tortoise? Really? What are we doing? Alright. Well, with speed boost, we're able to go 44 kilometers per hour, which is pretty quick. And the 4005 actually has decent camo, unlike the 183, which means that you can actually get away with, you know, sitting in this back spot over here. We have that enemy Yag spotted, and we are going to load our gold. There's one shell into the Yag. A miss. A pen. A miss. I mean, yeah, a little unfortunate. You can see the accuracy of the 4005 at distance is not great. We did get 2 shots out, to be fair, so we still took 800 health off of that player. And we actually might be able to shoot that Patton if he pokes that again, but we got a long reload ahead of us. Still another 3 seconds to go. 2, 1, and now that we do have a shot, we'll see if that Patton ends up poking that. I would not be surprised if the Patton did. We also have the Tortoise over here. Right now, though, we play the waiting game. Okay, well, Patton's still over there. We had a shell blind fired at me, which is a little interesting. We're going to poke that. There we go, 402. Not able to get another out, but it's still 400 damage. I'll take it. Oh, you want to poke it again? 378. Oh, 436. Wow, that went well for you. How to not learn from your lessons the first time you get bled. Usually, if I get bled for 400, I will look immediately at what the enemy team has, because looking would have saved that player. Uh-oh. Ooh, we lagged there for a moment. I don't know if you noticed that, but our tank kind of moved a bit. Okay. Well, Tortoise gets a shell into the Comp Panzer. And he's spotted. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to chill right here. I'm going to put on my adrenaline. And we're going to shoot the KPZ once, and the KPZ twice, and, well, that's a lot of damage there. Alright, well, we now back up, put on our speed boost, and... Aw, darn. Are you mad at me? Also, are you firing heat? Really? That's what we're doing? We're firing heat? That's incredible. Truly credible. Well, at this point, it's going to be another win. I don't know exactly how much damage we've done. A decent amount, but nothing crazy. The grill is running, obviously, and he's going to get shot by the IS-4, and probably the Rhino. I don't think we're going to deal much more this game, guys. I don't think we're going to. Well, we might be able to get 1 shell into the grill, which we do. 277 damage, not too bad. And at this point, all that's left is the enemy T-30. How much are we up to in terms of damage? 2997. So not a bad game. Not an incredibly good game either. The enemy team died. I mean, it was a steamroll, 7-0. And tank destroyers are obviously the biggest, should I say, struggle when it comes to a steamroll, because you're always going to be the one that's playing a bit more passive. But we did second on the team. We had a really solid result. And, I mean, it shows you where the 4005 is kind of a beast. It's not the best tier 10. I can tell you that for a fact. But it is a really solid one if you can work that gun properly and if you know what you're doing. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this tank. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!